All right, welcome back, my PMPs, my technicians, my people. You are my people. First, I just wanted to say thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for telling all the other technicians or even your friends about the podcast. We have done an incredible month with downloads, and it is all because of you, technicians. Thank you for listening and keep on listening. It's awesome that you're doing it, and I'm loving the support. Keep sending over emails. Keep sending us messages on Instagram. It's just awesome. So thank you so much. All right, as promised, Free Talk Friday. We're going to talk about IPM. Okay, for some of you who don't know what that even means, IPM is Integrated Pest Management. Okay, Integrated Pest Management is literally everything what we do. We do this. Some of us may not, if we're stuck in some of the old ways, but Integrated Pest Management is the new way of doing pest control. It is the way that the industry is moving. It is the way that companies want the industry to go to, and especially the government is pushing this a ton. The ag department's pushing it. If you haven't listened to kind of our little hiccup with the ag department, go back and listen to it. It was at the very beginning of the year. I posted those, and in December, I think. But also, this is the way, especially if you're going to do business in California. I'm sure Oregon's going to be right there behind us. I know New York is super strict on pest control. So there's already a few states that I personally know of that are very strict with everything. So IPM is definitely the way to go. So some people actually have IPM in their name as a pest control company. That does not mean they are this or they created that. Integrated Pest Management is a lot deeper than just a name. So this is coming straight from a handbook that I created with the help of one of my other guys. We went through this. He kind of put the layout in, and then I went through and I detailed it out. And so Integrated Pest Management, it is solving an issue with pests the smartest and safest way. Okay, it consists of a few crucial steps, and I'm going to go through all these steps with you guys. So if you need to write it down, pull over, take a lunch, maybe only listen to this on your lunches, because this is going to go over massive amount of steps on how to take care of pests, your customers, commercials, the correct way. Okay, not just spray and pray. Okay, it's a lot more than that. Okay, so step one is the interview. Okay, the interview is super important. Next is inspect. Okay, the third is identify. The fourth is analyze. Fifth is treatment. And then sixth is monitor. Okay, this is what I personally have created as an integrated pest management company. Okay, this is what I think it means. Everyone may think it's a little bit different. Everyone may come up with their own little twist to it. So just throwing this out there, this is what it means to me. You want to take this, you want to change it, you want to add to it, you want to take away from it. I'm not going to go into super detail what I put into my training handbook for my guys, but that doesn't mean that you can't add some of these things in yours. I'm putting this out there for the world. This is for everybody to know. Okay, so going on to the interview, okay? So the interview is very, very crucial step in taking care of everything. If you didn't listen to General Pests, how to take care of General Pests, that's the episode that dropped on Tuesday. Go back and listen to this, okay? Go back and listen to General Pests. Go back and listen to ants, to cockroaches, to rats. This is all part of that, okay? The interview is a massive step into finding out what is actually going on with pests in the current moment. If I go into a house and I say, hey, you're hearing stuff up in your attic, and I say, okay, it's roof rats. It's got to be roof rats. And then I just go and do my thing and I look for holes, which I've done this, okay? So If you just go and do that, next thing you know, you start setting up traps, or you start sealing up holes up in the attic or on the roof or in the, in the eaves. And then you find out they're tearing right through it like it's nothing. And then you think, well, man, this thing's got to be like some super rat, right? No, it's probably squirrels. So then after a little bit more digging, you find out, okay, is it during the day? Is it at night? Oh, it's during the day. Okay, well now that explains a lot more of why this is coming up. So as a PMP, as a technician, as whatever you may be in your company, the interview process is very, very crucial to finding out what is going on with your customer. What kind of insect is happening? What rodent may they be hearing? We don't know. So the interview process is very, 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 very important. You cannot skip the interview process, or you're going to just screw up. I've done it. I've treated, I've set up traps. I've done everything I could for rodents, okay, rats, and they were squirrels. I didn't catch anything. They tore right through all my work. Just wasn't good. So make sure that you're doing the interview. Okay, step 2, you have to inspect. Okay, this same house, I'll actually tell you. So I was kind of correct and I was kind of wrong. So he was actually having roof rats and squirrels, this guy. Poor guy, because he was hearing noises in the day in a certain area, and then he was hearing noises in his back bedroom at night. So he had a cluster of both. But the inspection is where I found out he actually had rodents. Okay? Past tense, because I don't know until I catch something. So inspecting the home, when it comes to anything, you have to inspect. You have to go in and visually see what they're seeing. You have to go through the process, okay? If you haven't noticed, and the ones who listen to the podcast, go check out the YouTube channel, because this video is going to go up the same day. But behind me is a hotel room, okay? I'm in a hotel doing this episode. I have the opportunity. We actually had a great opportunity with a restaurant chain, and they offered us all the buildings that this particular owner took over. And so I've been able to travel a little bit to go and do all of these appointments. And I just happened to be in a hotel taking care of this video, taking care of the podcast and doing a video at the same time, but I'm in a hotel room. But the reason why I bring this up is because the inspection part is another crucial thing. So as I'm doing these interviews at each one of these restaurants, finding out what's going on in each one, because everyone has a different issue. I'm running into some, and literally I'm going to be doing a fumigation here soon. So I'm going to go into a restaurant and take care of German cockroaches, which I just dropped an episode on. Other restaurants that I'm taking care of have had rodents, and this is now coming into the inspection part. So I'm going into these restaurants, I'm asking them the questions, I'm interviewing them, and now I'm inspecting, okay? They tell me exactly where they're seeing everything. So now I'm going into those areas, and now I'm looking, are there holes? What's going on? How do I take care of this? Okay, so now I'm going to inspect everything. I'm just taking in essentially this, and this is kind of one of the steps is kind of everything. But this step, you're just inspecting. You're looking for everything, all the evidence you can, taking pictures if you can. Use your phone, use your camera, use the tools that are provided for you. If you don't have those tools, buy them or get your boss to get them for you. But the next step after inspection is you have to identify. Now it's time to say, what is it? Okay, so I went into a restaurant today. I was walking around. I looked in the bait stations, everything, looked inside. I have not physically seen a rodent. Okay, I have not. I have not caught a rodent. I have had them on my traps, and then they get rid of them. So I don't actually know what rodent I'm dealing with until I'm seeing the droppings. The droppings are telling me they have mice. Well, if you go back to the episode, mice can live within they only nest, and eating is 100 feet away. Okay, where they nest, they are only going to travel about 100 feet for food. Well, you're in a restaurant. You're not traveling very far. Everything's right there for you to eat. All the food that gets dropped on the floor that never gets cleaned up at night, it's a perfect situation for them. But now I have to identify what pest it is. Are they German cockroaches? Is it ants? Or could it be something else? I don't have the license to say it's termites, but I have the license to say it's not ants. So you have to be able to identify what this is. If you can't identify the proper insect, that's okay. You don't need to be the one to identify exactly what it is, as long as you can start taking away certain things, or you know someone who knows what it is. That's a huge and massive thing. If you can't take pictures of it, you got to get it, on a piece of tape or in a baggie or something to get it identified. An entomologist, okay, use them. They're the ones that are going to identify certain insects for you. And if you don't know one, or you don't know where to find one, typically whoever is selling you chemicals has one on hand, okay? If not, a university is going to have one. Possibly even a high school could have one. So there's plenty of places to look. So if you are a little confused about that on identity or identifying, there's a lot of, just go to a school or just talk to anybody, the vendor who's selling you the chemicals. And majority of the big companies, you're buying them from Univar, California. We have Geotech, there's Target. And so those are kind of the big three. I don't really know any others, which I'm sure there's a ton out there, but those three are pretty good. You could actually go to doityourself.com. I think that's what it's called, do it yourself. If you go to that, you could actually probably find something too. You could send them a message and say, hey, I'm a pest control. I'm out here in whatever state. Can I send you a picture? Do you have someone who can identify? Because they sell chemicals. They sell everything that we can buy just to the general public. So you may be able to find someone there. Okay. So now after you have identified what insect or what rodent or whatever you're dealing with, now it's time to analyze the situation. Okay. This is another thing that technicians probably, I'll be honest, technicians probably don't get paid enough to do this, but we're required to do this. In majority of companies, a lot of people I've interviewed, they don't get paid enough to even think. So sorry if you work for that company, guys. We pay pretty good here, but I'm sorry if you work for one. But you need to analyze the situation, okay? You need to ask yourself what you can do for that particular situation and what the client needs or what the client can take care of, okay? Some is preparation. You need a client to take out everything out of the kitchen for a certain treatment. Well, if we're talking about an 80-year-old woman, how do you expect her to do that? Especially if she's single, by herself, lives alone. So do you have another treatment for that? Are you going to go in and offer the help? Are you going to charge her additional for that? You need to analyze that situation. You need to find out exactly what can be done, how it can be done, and what ways. So that is another massive step, and it's super important to analyze each and every situation. Rodents is a big one that you have to analyze with. Cockroaches isn't too bad. Bed bugs is a little bit heavier one because you do have to consider age, where they live, how big the home is. You do have to kind of calculate that a little bit better. Are you doing a heat treatment? Are you doing a chemical treatment? Are you tenting? There's a lot of stuff to kind of analyze, but I think rodents is a bigger one where you have to analyze a lot more because now you're taking in everything. You did an inspection outside, inside, possibly the crawl space as well, maybe even the attic. Now you have to take in all that information, all the pictures you took, and kind of lay it out. How can I take care of this situation in one sweep? Because you need to do it all correct the first time, or they eventually are going to fire you and find someone else who can take care of it correctly, after you've already screwed it up because you didn't seal everything. You didn't take care of all the holes. So analyzing is a very, very important step, which we're going to jump real quick. Because you need to monitor it after. And then once you monitor, you have to go back and analyze. Okay, so analyze and monitor. Analyze, you're going to be analyzing everything over the everything. I know that was a terrible way to say it, but you literally need to analyze every single step from step 1 all the way down to step 6. And so if you don't actually analyze during the interview, the inspection, the identity, when you get to the step to actually analyze, you may be a little bit past it and you might have to go back and interview and ask more questions. But then comes the treatment. The treatment's the easy part, right? We have already been trained on what chemicals to use. We've been trained on what dilution rates. We've been trained on different methods, maybe different mixtures, different, are you using aerosol cans to, pre-mixed chemicals to you need to actually dilute the chemicals. So we have so many ways to kind of handle different situations. That's where you have to come up with it. When you're analyzing the situation with rodents, are you adding in bait stations? Are you doing exclusion work? Are you cutting back the trees? Does your company have a tree service or a tree company that they know of? Are you only doing traps? I went to a lady's house. She has mice inside. She didn't have any trees around the house. She had 0 holes around the property. The only issue was probably being doors left open. And that's it. And so she didn't get the option of anything. I mean, I gave her options of bait stations and things like that to help control the population, but she didn't need anything else done. So, after I analyzed the situation, her treatment was we need to catch them. We need bait stations. And then also when it comes into treatment is what do they need to do? She had to do a lot. There was actually more than just clean the kitchen or clean up droppings. There was food everywhere in the garage, in the kitchen, in the rooms. There's droppings everywhere. So there was a process that they needed to follow, and that's part of the treatment. Okay, so when I say treatment, that's going to cover everything that they need to do too, because that has to be part of the IPM program. Also, remember, IPM isn't just, I know I've been talking about rodents a lot and cockroaches, but IPM is everything in a whole, okay? It is incorporating, and I say rodents a lot because rodents are the easiest one to add in exclusion work. Okay, you need to do exclusion work. That's not chemicals. Bait stations, that's a chemical. You're putting in poison to take care of the rodents. If you only did poison, you may not actually take care of all the rodents. So now we have to put in a mixture of things. We're doing snap traps inside, exclusion work on the outside, bait stations on the outside. We're doing multiple things to take care of that situation. When it comes to cockroaches, are you only baiting and spraying chemicals? Or are you doing something more? IPM would be adding in additional things. Cleanliness. Are they cleaning up the place? Are you coming in with a vacuum and vacuuming up all the dead ones and the poop and the babies and the egg sacs and everything? So by the time they get there, that's one less step that they have to do, or that you're requiring them to do, or that they may just even skip altogether because they don't want to do it and they don't care. So IPM is that as well, but that's all part of the treatment plan. So if your treatment plan is to spray and pray, you may need to rethink every single bug that you take care of and how you can incorporate multiple things other than just spray. Outdoor cockroaches. We talk about the importance of glue boards in this podcast. Last year we talked about it. Go find that episode. Glue boards are super important. They help out a ton with catching, but that's all part of the treatment. How can I get the best results for my customer without putting them at risk and without me at risk? Which means not spraying as much chemical in a situation that I don't need to. Sometimes that's what you have to do. You have wasps. What are you going to do? You're going to either knock the nest down and you're going to have a ton of wasps flying around, and eventually they'll just build another nest, or you can treat the nest and it's going to wipe them out. You have to kind of take those in, and that's part of the analyze and then the treatment. So the treatment is going to be multiple things. Okay, now you're going to monitoring the situation. Most technicians, they get to a house, they spray for ants, they leave. That's it. Well, we need follow-up calls. We need to find out what's going on. Here, we actually call our customers back. We actually call them up and say, hey, how is the house doing? Are you still seeing ants? Are you still having issues? We sent a technician back out there for a call back. Is everything okay? And then they give us feedback. No, you know what? I'm still seeing a bug. Great. Let's get the technician back out there because that's part of our guarantee. And we're happy to do it. So you need to have that as a monitoring tactic. So who's monitoring? Is it you? Is it the technician? Is it another technician? Is it the office? Someone needs to monitor that situation. And eventually someone needs to actually go back there and physically monitor the situation. And because that's going to go back to your treatment, and that's also going to go back to analyze. So you sprayed for ants. Well, sometimes that doesn't work all the way. So you sprayed for ants, and now there's still ants because you didn't listen to become an ant expert. And now you're dealing with an Argentine ant that has multiple queens, and you killed one, but you didn't kill the other ones. And so now you have ants popping up at other corners of the house. Now you have to go back. Are you going to spray again? Are you going to bait? Are you going to dust? What are you going to do? Are you going to take more time on the property, change it? Or are you just going to do the same treatment? You're not going to analyze. You're not going to really monitor. You're just going to jump through it and just spray a bunch of chemical again, leave, and then eventually show back up. That's the difference between IPM and not doing IPM. That's where you're going to see a massive step in happier customers and a reduction in callbacks. If you're an owner listening to this and you haven't been teaching IPM to your technicians, you need to teach them. If you are a listener, a technician, and you're about to start your own company, these are some things you have to think about. Have you been practicing IPM? Or have you just been spraying because the company you worked for provides a ton of chemicals, and it doesn't really matter how much you spray or how least you spray or how many accounts you do or what you do. It doesn't really matter because it's just so big, and it really, I mean, if you lose a couple, it doesn't really matter to you. You're not the one generating them anyway, so you don't really care. So what is it? Because if you are coming from that environment where you don't actually care to an environment of this is now my business, it's a whole different thing. So this being, me having a pest control company, me being a technician who's spraying, who's fumigating, who's taking care of all these situations, I look at this and say, I want everybody to do the same. I want all of my clients to be taken care of. And how we do that is the IPM program. And so going back to the treatment, a big one that a lot of classes will teach you when it is covering the IPM program is what you're going to see is they're going to talk a lot about not using as many chemicals. And that is a very, very big part. That's going to be the biggest part with the treatment and the analyze. And I'm hitting it again. And the reason why I'm hitting it again, because when you do take a class and it does pop up in your email and you do start researching IPM, you're going to see that a lot. It's integrating not using chemicals and using chemicals. It's, could you caulk a hole or a foundation or foam something or seal it up, and that could completely prevent an insect from coming in? Could you dry out the ground like I just talked about on general pests with earwigs? Could you dry out the ground and completely eliminate a whole infestation of a type of bug? Maybe. I just had phorid flies in my house. I had phorid flies in my house because I have a daughter with diapers and my wife is pregnant and she's puking all over the place. And so we ended up getting phorid flies in the house. And they were so tough to get rid of, but it went into the integrated pest management. I actually didn't spray one single thing inside my house to take care of phorid flies. You know what I did? I cleaned the drains, I cleaned the sinks, and I made sure all the trash was all taken out and thrown away outside all the time. And you know what happened? I have 0 phorid flies in my house now. All because of the integrated pest management. Going through and analyzing the situation, figuring out what the treatment method was. My treatment method in this situation was cleanliness. Okay, just because I didn't spray anything physically, chemical wise in my house doesn't mean that that's not a treatment. Okay, some of the older guys might be saying, well, what do you mean that you didn't treat anything? Yes, I did. I just did it without chemicals. I took away all their food. They no longer could eat. They no longer could reproduce. And that eliminated them. That's how the integrated pest management works. In a sense, it actually does not mean you have to completely wipe away all chemicals whatsoever, never use them, nothing. It's not what that means. It just means that there is a different way to do it. You just have to find that way. You do have to know what it is and how it works. But if you don't, then you have to do the research to find out how can I take care of these in the correct way possible. And it is going through those steps and finding it out. And to be honest with you, I actually had the forward flies in my house. I didn't get rid of them that quick. Okay, I'm at the end result now, but it actually was going on for about 2 months of me trying different things and seeing what worked. I did use Drano, so I guess that is a chemical. So I did do a chemical treatment. But the Drano was more for the vomit because she puked in the sink a couple of times. So I did have to use Drano at one point, but I did not actually use any chemical whatsoever, meaning any pesticides to take care of the pest. But anyway, the actual final method that worked the best, which was really interesting, the Drano didn't work. Drano did nothing to kill forward flies. Oh my gosh, it did nothing. What actually worked was the garbage. Taking the garbage out, making sure the garbage was completely out of, because I already cleaned the sinks and I kept cleaning the sinks. But as long as I had that garbage out and I made sure it was out on time and it was never sitting in the house with any diapers or food or anything, forward flies gone, disappeared. They didn't even go to my kitchen sink and try to reproduce. They were just gone. So analyzing, treatment, monitor. Then this is where you go back and now you're going to analyze again, possibly treatment, possibly monitor again if it doesn't work. Or if you go back, you interview the customer to give you more information. You may have to go back and inspect, identify, analyze again, do a different treatment, and then go back and do a follow-up monitor. Okay, so once again, I'll just, right before we end, just so you guys get the 6 down, okay, that I covered. IPM, Integrated Pest Management. Interview, inspect, identify, analyze, treatment, monitor. Yeah, I got that right. You're going to see it on, if you go watch the YouTube video, you'll make fun of me. So those are the 6 steps to the IPM program that I personally use. There's more details in each one, but I'll let you create however you want to create yours. That is my integrated pest management. Thanks for listening to the DNA Pest Podcast. Remember, it's free, so I do expect you to at least tell a friend. Come on, spread the word. Let them know that you hate us, or maybe even like us, or you just think it's funny and you want to make fun of us with your buddies together. That's awesome too. I'm totally okay with that. Also, please leave a review. It helps me out a ton with getting and spreading the word. Remember, the whole point of this podcast is to actually get out information and teach technicians more about the industry without having to go through the whole process of go figure it out for a year like it happened to me. I'm trying to eliminate that, guys. I want to give you as much information as possible for free. I'm not asking for any money or anything like that. I want to give this to you and help you out as much as possible. So please spread the word. If you have an episode or an idea or anything you want to talk about, please email or Instagram is going to probably be the easiest, fastest, quickest way I'll get back to you at DNA Pest Podcast. Okay? Thanks for listening in.